Remember that? Remember that? And they said, whoa, we're not touching them. They're just pouring the water. USA, 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 Curtis Sliwa.
Thank you, John. And John is right, I have to go not far away. Recently, I opened up a Ronald Reagan Republican Club in the North Shore, and it's got not just Republicans and independents, but moderate Democrats, because to win this battle and this war, all three of us have to be united. Yep. Republicans, independents, and moderate Democrats. Every one of them are concerned about our country and what's happening now. We missed a golden opportunity yesterday. Our mayor, Eric Adams, couldn't put his humongous ego aside, nor could Kathy Hochul, the governor, to sit down with Governor Abbott, who's come all the way from Texas, overwhelmed as they are, 10 times worse than what we've had. In his wheelchair, man's man was ready to praise them for finally saying the federal government and Joe Biden have got to seal the border. And instead of sitting down with him, because he was speaking at the Manhattan Institute right next to the Hotel Roosevelt, which is the outtake center, they chose to diss him and dismiss him. Remember, he's been called a racist, a madman, simply for doing what any governor would do when their state is overwhelmed, and what a true American would do when they see an invasion taking place across their borders morning, noon, and night. So let's give a great round of applause to a great governor who has stood up for all America, but has been smacked down by the president and the federal government. So they didn't do that. The opponent he can't beat here in Staten Island. He can't win. And you know how you know that? Look up in the sky. The friendly eye in the sky that has always been spying on us the last 3 rallies is not here. The drone. The only demonstrations that I've led all throughout the city that had drones were here in Staten Island. His perception of us is that we are political enemies. And he was using technology that's supposed to be used against gangbangers, thugs, and drug dealers against patriots like you who were exercising your First Amendment right of free speech. And we see that the police response is not what it was before, overwhelming, and quite frankly, not very friendly. Ridiculous. Let's give the police a nice round of applause because they're here today in solidarity. They obviously have to zip their lips and keep their opinions to themselves. But this is the way it should always be, because Staten Island has always proven to be the most patriotic of boroughs, to be the most supportive of police, where Blue Lives Matter started. In the summer of 2020, when Black Lives Matter and Antifa were attacking the cops, were throwing Molotov cocktails, injuring them, when Bill de Blasio, that part-time mayor, that dope from Park Slope, who single-handedly destroyed the city that we love, told them they had to step down, neutered them. Which borough stood up in support for the NYPD? Staten Island. And you had a Congress as John and both Scott Lebedo, leaders of the rebels, And let me tell you something, without the rebels, Staten Island is the only borough, the only place in America. Because remember, I have guardian angels all over the United States, so I got my finger on the pulse. Staten Island is the only place where the politicians came together with the lawyers. The lawyers came together with you, the rebels, and worked in unity and harmony, and you have victory here outside of St. John Villa Academy. They said it couldn't be done. They said there's no way you could fight City Hall and win, right? Small borough of Staten Island, 500,000 people. Eric Adams would turn you into a speed bump. Well, guess what? He still hasn't found his God positioning system, aka GPS, to find his way here to Staten Island. But for years, the border states have been overrun. They open up their doors to their homes and they see illegal aliens running down their streets. Your victory here has resonated across the country and across the world because there are migrant problems all over the world. Countries are overrun because their leaders have turned a blind eye to this problem. They treat all of you like your sheep. And you need sheep herders. And I don't exempt Republicans from Democrats. I go back to Ronald Reagan. I named the Republican clubs that I've opened all over the city for Ronald Reagan. But I got to tell you, when it came to immigration, remember, he gave amnesty and then he didn't do anything afterwards. Because back then in the 80s, Republicans were for illegal aliens for the cheap labor. Democrats were opposed because they were solidly union and they said they'll undercut union jobs. Now look at the circumstances. 40 years later, they're in reverse. Republicans are opposed to the illegal aliens. Democrats are in favor of them. I don't trust any politicians. I'm sorry. I don't trust. For 40 years, they have forsaken us on this immigration issue. So now they've left it to us, the people. The Republicans, the Independents, and the moderate Democrats. And the battleground, the Alamo, was right here at St. John's Villa Academy. Fight the will of the people. We're not going to grant you asylum on Staten Island. No. In fact, what you've learned here in Staten Island is you've been kicked around for the last time. They dumped our garbage on you. They made fun of you. They said the Forgotten Island. They called you Satan Island. To this day, they make jokes about you, Staten Island. Well, guess what? You're tired of being kicked around because you manned up and womaned up like no other borough, like no other place in the United States, and you're entitled to secession and to become the 51st state. Why not? Vermont is a state. They were originally part of New York State. They seceded. Wyoming has about 500,000 people. There are more bison and buffalo in Wyoming than people. Think about that. Why not go the whole 9 yards? Become a state. You get 2 U.S. senators. You have power. You have a congressperson. It's time. You've been abused for too long. You have stepped up. You have fought the battle, not just for Staten Island and the city and the state, but for all of America. And all of Americans should be grateful to you. The time to improve, don't move. You've got them thinking twice. Like, we don't want to go out and battle in Staten Island because everywhere they go, you have them in check. It's check, it's check, it's check. They're afraid you'll checkmate them at Fort Wadsworth, at the State Armory, and any other place they decide to just plunk people down. Out in Travis, where you have the illegals with cars with no plates, no license, no registration, doing drag racing, where they're sitting out late at night drinking cerveza, they're smoking weed, and the cops aren't doing anything about it. Why? Because they're asylum seekers and they're untouchables. Well, guess what? Nobody in Staten Island is an untouchable. You break the law, you get arrested, and hopefully you go to jail. That's the way it should be. But I'm going to ask all of you to please help our brothers and sisters across the Verrazano Bridge, because you're related to many of them. You may have seen in the paper, the hit woman for Eric Adams was added. It's not a household name, but I know her well. She's in charge of the largest and most corrupt Democratic county machine in the United States. Kings County, Brooklyn, Democratic machine. Rodney's Beauchamp. She is an assemblywoman from Flatbush. Yesterday, she announced that there's not fairness in terms of where the illegal aliens are sent. That white people are not doing their fair share. You crackers. And she said, you know, and these are all the places I told people in Brooklyn months ago that Eric Adams was going to put these migrant centers, and just like here in Staten Island, they said I was lying, I was making it up, I was in a drug-induced psychosis, I was like Dr. Timothy Leary on LSD, don't believe Sliwa. Republicans told you that, Democrats told you that, and City Hall told you that, and who proved to be right? Me! I wish I was wrong, but I was right. And I said they would do it at Bay Ridge. And I said they'll do it in Fort Hamilton. And I said they'd do it in Marine Park. And I said that they would do it right in Manhattan Beach. And I have elected officials calling up asking, well, how the hell does he know? Because there are rats in City Hall leaving the sinking ship who eat the Parmesan cheese and talk to Curtis Sliwa and let me know so that the people can know. Oh, they're wondering who their rats are. Every day they go to City Hall. Who's talking to Curtis? Who grew up with Curtis in Canarsie? Who is ratting us out to Curtis? And they take the code of Omanta. These are men and women, civil servants, and not patronage appointees. They're out of there in about a year or two. They got their pension, and they care about their city, and they care about all of you, and that's why they funnel the information to me. And I use, as John Tobacco mentioned, the most powerful radio station in the nation that gives you the information of everything going on. 770 AM WABC. Let's give them all a great round of applause. Deserve an extra round of applause. When they were dragged off the street, 10 of them arrested for nothing. And you all came running out there to show them solidarity. And you saw me, right, in those videos. I went up to each of those cops. I shamed them. They couldn't even look me in the eye. And I yelled at their white shirts and their commanders, and I said, how dare you? Of all the places in America, Staten Island that had your back. How do you go home and look at yourself in the mirror? And you saw they walked away from me. They couldn't even look me in the eye because they understood what they were doing was wrong. You can follow us morning, noon, and night, but you will not destroy the spirit of America. We do this for our parents, our grandparents, and our great-grandparents. So now they may be digging in and saying they got us at St. John Villa, but hell if they're going to beat us at Midland Beach. And then at Fort Wadsworth. And then possibly at the Armory, because they've talked about that in other locations. So please, this next week, I'm digging in Brooklyn. I'll probably have arrest number 81, 82, 83, 84 before I get through with this.
Right.
We must help them. I'll finish on this note. Yesterday, up in the House of Representatives, we had two women who was, one a city councilwoman, Republican Areola, one a Democrat assemblywoman, Williams, who represents Marine Park, Mill Basin, my beloved Canarsie, Georgetown, Gravesend. And I gotta tell you, the person cross-examining them was AOC all-out crazy Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. leader of the socialists who want to destroy our country, who are inviting in the illegal aliens. She yelled, she screamed, she put on a show. Unfortunately, these two women were not as well prepared as your elected officials, your lawyers, and your rebels, because Staten Island is the most organized of all.
Yeah.
AOC said, well, if it's not at Floyd Bennett Field, where are you going to put him? Where are you going to put him? Where are you going to put him? And both these women stumbled and fumbled, and they said, I don't know.
Up their ass.
And I said, I only wish to God these women had spoken to me, because I would have told you at the time that me and Arnold Salinas right here, back in September of 2022, stood in the parking lot of Orchard Beach where they were putting up a tent for migrants in the Bronx, in AOC's district. And you know who said no to the migrants and no to the tents? Let me remind everybody, it was AOC all out crazy, you sanctimonious hypocrite. That's why I trust no politicians. I trust you, the people. So remember, onward. The battle continues. America, the world is watching Staten Island. We're getting calls every day. How can we do what you've done in Staten Island? Continue to make us proud. Don't harm any of these migrants. They're just political pawns. And they're frightened. They would much rather be in a 4-star hotel in Manhattan, the Milford Plaza, the Paramount, the Walton, all of those hotels, than to be out here and leave it to Beaverland, Father knows best, Little House on the Prairie. So don't harm a hair on their head. It's our politicians who have sold us out. And I know who they all are. And they malign me. And even though I've made my peace with them for now to get victory, you know Curtis Sliwa. I was born in Canarsie in Brooklyn. My mother Bade, my father Polish. I was born, you don't forgive, you don't forget. I'm Old Testament, baby. I'm gonna make sure that all these politicians pay for hanging us out to dry. In the meantime, get more people out. Let's help Brooklyn be vigilant, stay around the clock, and victory will be ours in Staten Island, in New York City, and New York State, and most importantly, in America. Thank you.
Curtis, tell me, what brings you out here today?
Well, this is a victory, unexpected.
Okay.
David has beaten Goliath. The City Hall doesn't know what to do now. They haven't filed their appeal, because I think they realize this is the epicenter of the battle, and they are in a stalemate. It's a Mexican standoff. They can't win in Staten Island, which means we can stop them everywhere else.
Okay, and but you said this is a partial victory. Can you expound on that? What do you mean by partial victory?
Well, it's a partial victory because they still have 10 days to seek relief in court. But I think, as has been explained by other speakers, if Eric Adams wants to somehow save some dignity and pride, he takes half of the victory in the judge's ruling against the guarantee of shelter in the city of New York. The judge was very specific, which is exactly what Eric Adams needs to be said. He needs to join together with Staten Island, and eventually he could undo this law.
And you mentioned about Midland Beach also. So what events are you going to be having in the near coming days? You said you might be arrested. What events you're planning?
Well, that senior citizen center is in good shape. They put a lot of money into it to house the illegals. So that's going to be a real battleground if they try to bring the buses back in there. You saw arrests the other night. You'll see even more. You'll see more acts of civil disobedience. Eric Adams doesn't know what he's in for. These are not people in Brooklyn and Queens and Manhattan and the Bronx who are rolling over and just now beginning to protest. These are hardened protesters who are willing to get arrested and to take it up a few notches.
So you said it was David versus Goliath.
Because nobody thinks you can beat City Hall. They always think it's just too overwhelming. What can people do? Well, Staten Island has proven that. Put together all the people, politicians get in line, the lawyers go into court, they get temporary injunctions, and you have, and I'll use that term, a Mexican standoff. Now the mayor has to determine, does he want to turn this into the Alamo? Because that's what it'll be. These people are not going away. Does he want to use all of his resources to battle the people in Staten Island? Because all it's going to do is encourage more people all over the city to do exactly what they're doing here.
The judge said the right to shelter is not, he said it shouldn't be a reason to the migrant shelter again. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. The law was never meant to provide shelter for people who are coming in from other countries. The law was to take care of New Yorkers. Now, a lot of people abuse that. They were coming from Jersey, Pennsylvania. We could deal with that at a later time. But it wasn't meant to house all of these illegal aliens who are pouring in and taking advantage of that. Not that they are, our politicians are allowing them to take advantage of it.
What do you do, though? Because they came from Texas, for example, because Greg Abbott said, I'm not having them here. What do you do with those thousands of people in? What do you do? What's the solution?
We got to join in solidarity with Governor Abbott. He was up here yesterday, and he actually praised Eric Adams and Governor Hochul for their new position of blaming the federal government, Joe Biden. They should have reached out and said, well, we have a lot in common. There are things we disagree on. We'll agree to disagree. But all of us benefit if we seal the border. And that's only Joe Biden can do that, only the federal government. Abbott can't do that, Eric Adams can't do that, Hochul can't do that. But instead of taking advantage of that, they dismiss Abbott. And that was a major mistake.
Curtis, can I ask?
They're asking, they say the migrants are already here, they have the work permit. What do you think they should?
First off, how do you even know they're Venezuelans?
I didn't say Venezuelans.
No, I know, but they're the ones who have been expedited. You understand? So they have an easy pass to get work papers. Anybody can get work papers in Roosevelt Avenue and Corona from whatever country you want. There's an entire underground industry that can provide you with paperwork. So I don't trust that process. Number two, if I'm in Venezuela now and they get media, I'm going to be coming in and saying, my God, I'll get to work here. They don't understand, well, you had to be here by this time. So it's a major mistake. More Venezuelans are coming.
Curtis, can I ask a quick question? All right, Curtis, in Queens, the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center, there's been issues there too. There's been issues at the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center. What has your group done in trying to mitigate that crisis over there? At the Creedmoor Psychiatric Center, what has your group done? Have you organized any protests or anything? Residents in Queens Village, Belrose, what have you been doing so far there?
Certainly haven't been as successful in Creedmoor as I'd like it to be. Certainly not like here in Staten Island. But they're still coming out, they're still monitoring. There's 800 single able-bodied men there. They can house a total of 1,000. So hopefully Creedmoor will understand you have to do it exactly like this to get me done. You must go to court.
Do you have anything to say about the residents nearby Creedmoor about the situation at the Creedmoor site?
Creedmoor, you have Floyd Bennett Field, you have Riverdale now in the Bronx. They've got to go into court. If you don't go into court, then the city will feel that they can pierce that shield of protest and whatever politicians stand up for the people, which are minimal at this point.
Okay, and you think it's been like a bit of a disappointment, you think, in Creedmoor, from the politicians?
Say that again?
You think there's been a bit of a disappointment from the local politicians at Creedmoor? You think?
I don't trust any of the local politicians, whether my fellow Republicans or Democrats. They should have been on this months ago, and I warned them what was coming, and they called me a liar. So we could have preemptively put a stop to a lot of.
All right. Last Creedmoor-related question: what have residents in Queens Village and Belrose have said to you about the situation in Creedmoor?
Oh, they're looking to organize even more, and also Nassau County because they're directly impacted by that.
All right.
Mr. Sliwa, we were in El Paso. You mentioned that we should seal the border. There were wires. They had everything. How do you seal the border? Because there's a tunnel. There's all sorts of.
Well, I've been to El Paso with Juarez on the other side. I've been not to Eagle Pass, but I've been to Nuevo Laredo on the Mexican side in Laredo. You could seal it. You just have to make it so that the folks are going to know that they don't have instant asylum. What you do is you put some trailers at the border, you give them initial interviews. If they don't pass muster for asylum, see, probably only 10% might even qualify at that point. Then you turn the other 90% back. But as it is now, anybody can come across and say they're an asylum seeker. Nobody's vetted, nobody's checked. The ID could be fake. There's nobody to prove if you're real or not real. That has to stop.
Do you think if we change administration in Washington, D.C., you're hoping for the election, for the presidential election? What's your hope?
But there's no doubt the migrant issue is one of the big issues. I'm not necessarily sure, because Republicans fight Republicans, Democrats fight Democrats. They got to all get on board. Years ago, they had an opportunity to resolve this, and they just ended up fighting one another since Ronald Reagan. That's 40 years. Time to put that aside. They can come up with a compromise that would satisfy everybody. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Curtis.
What time? Okay, gotta go.
All right, thanks, Curtis.
Soldiers, put up. I know there's some of you who are like, yeah, it's not raining, I'm gonna go, but there's a few that if it was raining. There's people here, absolutely, me too. But that's not what this is about. This is about New York City and Staten Island. And we want people here that aren't Republicans. We want people from all races, ideologies to be here. This is different. Don't worry about that, trust me, we'll win that big thing. And I'm gonna talk, I'll get Curtis involved, one day at a time. Anyway, it's, again, nice to always see this crowd. There's always the same faces, but there's always new faces that I see here. And that's what this is all about. Now, you know that we won that incredible, monumental victory. It was monumental. Monumental. And again, we say this every day. I said this from the beginning when we started this. The world is watching. I just did another foreign interview. There's a guy here from Australia again. The world's watching Staten Island. This is the ground zero. I said it the other day. Ground zero for the invasion is in Texas. But ground zero for the fix is right here. Right here in Staten Island. And you are part of history. And 100 years from now, I'm telling you, they're going to sing songs around campfires of him. All right? He needs to save face and save the people of this city. And I think this is a good thing. So why are we here? It's not a victory. There's no time for victory. It's short and sweet. Oh, of course I went out and had a martini, maybe 2, maybe 3 after the victory. But it's short. And then the next moment I got right on top of things and let people know that we cannot be complacent. There's people that show up at one rally a year and they go to sleep. I did my job. No, you didn't. You got to be here all the time. You have to be out like you people all the time. Even after we win. Even after we win. Even after we win. Because this is one battle of many in the big fight. Anyway, I'll talk a little bit more later on. Just wanted to get you guys all riled up here. All right, I'm going to bring up the guy in the pinstripe suit. The one and only Johnny Tobacco.
Wow, I got an intro. Wow. What up, Staten Island? How you doing? How you doing? All right, I got all dressed up for the occasion tonight. Yeah, I had to work today. All right, we're here again. It's drizzling, it's misty. We got like, Mayor Adams had the weather on his side for like a week. Kept raining, we couldn't really protest like we want to. I feel like I miss everyone. Welcome, everyone. Seriously, I miss you guys. You don't miss me? Fuck you. Sorry. I'm not gonna curse anymore, but I have so many pent up inside of me from the rain and the no protest. I can't curse on TV. All right, update. As many of you know, our lawyers, Mark Fonte, Lou Gelomino, still undefeated against the mayor, going into court, okay? And by the way, if you read the ruling, They made 4 or 5 points, and the judge agreed with them on every single point. So we won every point. All right? Now, if you remember, they ran right into court. Man, it's Friday. Let's screw the Staten Islanders. And they appealed us in 1 hour. And they got some left-wing progressive over in Brooklyn in the second department and say, yeah, we don't care about the law. Make them feel like crap. All right? Notice this time the nuance. They filed a stay which said, if we want to appeal. Okay? But they didn't race right in there because the judge, with his ruling and his decision, tied them in knots. For those of you following like a wonk like me, who aren't following like a wonk like me, we won on the main point, which is a landmark decision that the judge said the right to shelter stands for New Yorkers. And that's it. Who's got that horn? Ring that horn again. There we go. Let's get that going. Okay. It's for New York. And it was aimed towards some, his words, in quotes, Bowery derelicts who were down on their luck. This rule, a terrorist watch list, we don't have to take care of them. Not for us, no. Yeah. How can you be in one court saying we gotta pause right to shelter? We can't handle it anymore. But then you're going to go into another court and say, we need right to shelter. How does that work, Mayor? Sid asked him. So if you're not tuned in every morning, by the way, 7:05, Curtis Sliwa is on with Sid every day. So that's must-see race. But he said, I have my lawyers looking at it because there are some. This is a reminder to everyone that the voices of us, the power of the people, make someone who runs a nonprofit in Staten Island start referring to their neighbors, radicals, paint your enemy as the extremist, and then public opinion will go against them. She comes out calling us haters, racists, xenophobes, insurrectionists. Guess what? Tell all your friends in the coffee clutches, Yasinia Mata from La Comina, from their own public filings documented on the website, raised $1.5 million in 2021. They haven't filed their full statement for 22 yet, okay? Out of the 1.5, they raised $36,000 through local fundraising efforts, and the other $1.4 million came from government and other nonprofit grants. So I go deeper. And where do they get their grants from? Out of $1.4 million, $1 million came from George Soros, Open Societies Foundation, and now they're using this woman to go out there and run the radical playbook on us. So we're not fighting for this school or PS 39 or the 42 people left in there. Believe it or not, this whole damn country left it up to Staten Island to go toe-to-toe with George Soros. And I say, hey, Georgie, welcome to the neighborhood. We ain't fucking stopping. That's right. That's right. And it seems like a small ass, but he's got to go to another event. Let's bring up.
All right, Dyker Heights.
All right, well, send that to me, okay?
All right, what's the name?
917
917.
734 69 99.
All right, gotcha.
Yeah, you can. Right.
All of a sudden, here comes the principal of security. You can't give this to me.
It's very emotional what's going on.
And I'm saying something. I know across the street from the grammar school in Earl Norfolk Catholic High
Midland
School,
Shelter, right across the
military
street
age
from
man
the school.
is
It's
wrong.
just the Bronx. This is not the solution. It's unsustainable.
Now, another thing, we
It's
are
just very
fighting.
sad that people have to
We're
be put in
fighting
this
for Midland
position.
Beach. I want to explain more wrongs.
it's
The
not about
children's
the
school
people,
can't
it's
be
about the
built.
policy, it's
Children
about
are being held back.
the-
You know, poor people need this
able to,
school.
like I said,
We are doing
sustain
in sacrifice of our children,
what
our
happened
children's
to
safety,
our children.
our neighborhood safety.
So what happened
It's
here?
not going to happen.
So you had a school.
Because we are
That's what
not the
happened.
people
We
you
can even
you
do
can't
it.
pull the wool over our eyes, unfortunately. I feel bad for
Catholic
them.
school.
We are
It's
woke.
been
But
closed
we're
for
Miss
about 5
Marvel.
years.
We
It was
know
promised to
bullshit.
become
We know
another
what's
school.
right.
That was in the contract. It was
Midland
sold.
Beach.
And
I want you to think about
because
this.
of the influx of migrants
We
to New York City,
Throughout,
there
veterans,
was no place to house them.
elderly,
Although our
and
politicians said,
disabled
sure,
people,
come, we'll
our
take
elderly.
them. They didn't
We
really
put
think
them
people
into
would
the
come.
streets. Nobody had
You would
compassion.
have
Nobody said, what
an
about
offer
what's
like
going to
that.
happen to
We're
them?
going to take you up on it. But we can't house that amount of people.
So they were sending how many migrants?
In
to
a
the school?
They're supposed to
gated
send 300, has the
condominium on
capacity
the
for
Oceanside
700.
View at triple the amount of money.
It's
An elderly was
across
paying $3,000
small
to find
residential
out,
street,
and a migrant is
from a
$8,000
school
out
that
of
has
our pocket.
pre-K
That is
three-year-olds on it.
wrong.
There's a campus, on the campus there's a school for special needs children.
Stand down and make it
It's just a
simple.
wrong location.
There is right
So
and there
people
is
of
wrong.
Staten Island decided to
And
stand
we
up
are
and I saw the
1,000%
lawsuits.
right.
Yes, a Democratic judge ruled twice in our favor to say no, this isn't correct. The zoning issues, the building itself is going to be condemned. It's not inhabitable.
Right now he's tired.
Showers.
In the morning he's
Why do
like
people want to
insane.
live somewhere else to live like
But
this?
speaking of
It's not
insane,
nice.
Why do you
we're
think
gonna keep
this
the
is an issue?
momentum
Because we
going
can
on the
to decide,
insanity
right? We
train.
felt so, you know, we were
I don't have to tell you,
even in New York, and
I
so
looked
all
up to
these
him my whole
people-
life, but every time you
over the
turn around,
world.
he's doing some kind of
And
another
most of them were
protest.
sent from
And
Texas by,
just
Abbott.
today, before we
So
came
it
here,
seems to be quite
he unveiled
I
a
mean, what is the
30-foot
solution in your view?
poster right over the Verrazano overpass
Just say no.
saying close the
Our governor may have
flowers.
to say no.
And
We did our part.
allegedly he did it.
Those that
Allegedly.
have come here, they have to mitigate
I don't know. I don't have a video of him
this is
doing
not
it
the
in my
solution.
phone or anything. All right, but the one, the only, the inimitable Scott
Well,
Levigo.
the border is not closed. They could try it. We've always had migration. I mean, we've always had, you know, but yeah, I mean, we've always had it. That's what we're built
We got
on.
rain
But
coming in a
not
few
at
minutes,
this
so I'm gonna make
rate.
this quick.
Not at this. The floodgates are open.
I say this a lot. I've been
Can't
saying it.
control
Even in my
it.
documentary,
It's,
my 30 years of doing this stuff.
It's a flood and we're
in the
drowning.
springtime, but,
They have to do
my
something.
parents' advice. See, that's why we're all the same.
I
That's
just
why
wish
we
that
are the center of the
those that
universe
were
right now.
elected,
Staten Island is a unique borough.
they
I
have
know
the
every
big
town
bucks,
says
you know,
that.
they're getting paid the big
But
bucks.
it is a
They're
unique,
supposed to be
because
smarter than
my
this.
life, I
There
lived
should have been a
by
plan.
these two rules.
There's
This
other
advice
things.
that my parents gave me. My mother said,
This is the plan,
"You're a
then
very
we're really in
liberal,
trouble."
conservative woman. Whatever you do in your life, as long
some elected
as
officials
you
tell
believe it in
what
your
we need
heart,
is to
and
resolve the
always
problems
take care of the
in
less
those
fortunate.
countries, so that people
I have
don't
that
need to
compassion.
leave, right? And don't-
I have friends that I speak to every day in
Take
Venezuela,
shit from
friends in
nobody.
Peru,
And that's
friends
how I
in
live my
Texas
life.
at in
And
Brownsville,
everybody loves
and
it.
on the other side of
But
Matamoros,
that's how
Mexico.
each and every one of you live your life. I know that because you're
Everyone
here.
who said
Because you're fighting.
very similar to that.
Now, I want everybody
They
to
don't want to leave their
read,
country.
because every
They
day
want to
I
fight for
get
their
tons
country
of messages
and
and
make their
DMs
country
from all
better.
over the
They
country,
have love for their own
including
country.
all over the world. How
They're
are
proud of
you
their country, but
doing
they
it in
want to make their
Staten
countries
Island?
better.
Come here,
I
teach
understand
us.
helping with
So I want
with
people
the-
to start their
land that
video
helps
over this.
everybody.
I'm going to do this really quick, and I
But
want you
yeah,
all to
it's
post
not
this
us.
on your social media so it goes
We
viral.
fail.
So everybody else in the
What's
country
going on right
can
now?
follow our
It's
very
gonna come to
simple
us.
lead.
And that's
And we
very
can
sad,
kick
and
ass
it's very
across
sad
this
for the
whole
world.
country.
So
I'm going to give you
I think there
3,
needs to
2,
be a
1,
big
shut your
pause.
phone, start it
Or
over,
somebody
start
put
your
the
video
brakes
over.
on and
Let me know
figure
when you're
it
ready.
out. There's
1,
more
2,
people
3.
coming at it.
Okay,
Our
here's the
country's going
advice
to
to the rest of the country.
What people
Number
are
one,
deserting.
you
They're
get
running away
yourself
from.
a couple
We don't have the
of good
resources. We
lawyers
don't have infinite amounts.
like we have, Mark Fonte, Lou Gerlamino. Every town in America has some decent patriotic lawyers.
What do you think
Just look
people
up
who say
on the
they're
website
interviewing?
right here and how we did it in the ruling that came down.
What do you think
Number
they said no?
2,
You know, they said no.
everybody in a little town has somebody that has a social media influence that is a patriot. Like me and John, every community has one. You get him or her
I'm sure there is.
to post
Not here.
the rallies
Not right here.
and get people out in the street. Then you get somebody like me in your community to get the hell out in the street without excuse. That's how we do coffee shop about this bullshit. Instead of talking over a martini and a cup of coffee, talk about it in night. Trust me. Follow us. Last thing. We sacrifice. It might rain. I don't know. What?
Fuck that!
What they went through. With our horns, our flags, and our voices. So stay tuned for that. Here to Midland Beach.
Bienvenidos a nuestro país. No son bienvenidos a nuestro país. Son bienvenidos a nuestro país. No son bienvenidos a nuestro país.
Can you tell me what brought you to this rally today? Do you think this is a partial victory after getting this court decision? Can you explain on that?
Yeah, I'm a community activist. My kids went to this school right across the street. My mom actually went to this school where they have the migrants right now. So I've been helping organize these protests to raise our voice here in Staten Island, let the mayor know that Staten Island's a different breed. We don't back down. We know how to punch a bully in the nose, and that's what we've been doing. And I don't think it's a partial victory. I think it's a victory. Supreme Court judge in New York State said that right to shelter doesn't exist. The mayor overstepped his authority. And right now he's searching around doing some judge shopping to try to find some liberal that will overturn that decision. But the people know what really happened. Supreme Court Justice, who's a Democrat, ruled in our favor now twice.
Okay. And what are you going to be doing in the next couple of weeks? I heard some action will be taken at Midland Beach. Could you explain, to the
We're
audience?
manning two fronts in this war. We're going to have people here every day. We're going to have people at Midland Beach every day. On Sunday, we're going to do a convoy of cars, flags, patriotic, honk for freedom. We're going to drive from here to Midland Beach. We're going to establish another front there in Midland Beach and let the mayor know that it's not just this spot. It's the whole policy that we're against, and Staten Island's not going to back down.
Okay. And what do you thought of Curtis Sliwa's presence here? What do you think his presence have helped out in your quest in trying to get this shelter closed? Or?
Yeah, I mean, everyone has good intentions. I think Curtis has the best of intentions. I'm sure he wants to run for mayor again, but he's trekking out here sometimes twice a week, and he's not running for anything. So to me, anybody who's putting in the legwork, the sweat work to stand up for freedom, I'm happy about it. And I think Curtis is a welcome addition here.
Okay. And when this facility was open, what were residents telling you about the situation with the migrants here? Like, what were residents telling you about?
Well, the residents are saying that there's no showers in there, so they have outdoor portable showers. Those showers are overflowing, and sewage is running in the street. They have to have sewage trucks pull up 2 times a day to pump them out, which stinks up the whole neighborhood. The people inside, there's 300 people supposedly to live in one room, but as it stands today, the mayor wanted to put 300 people here. There's only 40 in there. And that's probably much due to the efforts of Staten Island people standing up and raising their voice.
Okay, you have anything else you want to say? Concluding thoughts?
No, I think people across the country, if you're not prepared for this, you should know this is coming soon to a theater near you. And the only thing these progressives and leftists and socialists actually respond to is when people raise their voice and fight back. So stand up for your rights. We the people have more power than them, and your local officials, they work for you. It's not the other way around.
All right, can you spell your name?
John Tobacco, Johntabacco.
All right, thank you.
You got it.
You understand what I'm saying? They arrested us. They give us the finger. I was walking my dog the other day. My dog growled at one of them, and they said, "Fuck you." What? You're in my neighborhood. This was such a peaceful, quiet neighborhood. so kind and calm. Everybody's so nice here. And these people came in and just ruined everything that we have here. It's just a shame. And I just don't get it. I don't get it.
This is where you're born.
Yeah.
Residential area.
Yeah. So, you know,
So what do you say to people who say, well, there's no other place, we need to shelter them somewhere?
I mean, I don't understand why they allowed so many of them in at one point. There should have been a cap on the amount of people that were let in this country. I mean, they didn't even, there's no border, the border agents are not even doing the jobs because of Biden. He has the border is just open. It's just freely open for anyone to come in. And they're saying they're legal. That's not legal. You know what I mean? There's a right way to come in, and all of the immigrants that came here the right way are pissed off. They're pissed off at them because they're taking everything that they worked hard for. And I respect my immigrants that came in the correct way, and they had to wait, they had to take tests, they had to study, they had to learn everything. These people, they don't respect us. Most of them are good people, but the ones that are being disrespectful, they have entitlement. They think that they're owed everything. They come here and they say, we don't feel that this is a good place to stay. Can they move us somewhere else? Why did you leave your home country if it's so dangerous and you're complaining about the amenities here? I don't understand that, it's just a shame. It really is. Yeah, and they're taking money from the city workers. They took the senior citizens. They kicked them out of their own homes. There's the senior citizen housing place. They kicked them all out just to house migrants that just jumped the border. I'm sure some of them came in legally and are scared, and I have a lot of respect for them. But the ones that just come in here just to live off of us, and it's just a shame. It really is.
What do you think of Eric Adams?
I think Eric Adams, he made a mistake. I think that he doesn't want to own up to that mistake because he's embarrassed.
Texas was sending all the people to New York.
Yeah, I know. And that's because Adams said that this is a sanctuary city and that he's going to take in anyone that he can. But he even admitted we can't sustain this. So he knows he made a mistake by allowing them. He could have turned them away, Why would you take in that many? And this is just the tip of the iceberg. We haven't seen anything yet. The Roosevelt Hotel in Manhattan is a total third world country. It's a disaster. It's a disaster. It really is.
Thank you so much. What's your
You're welcome. My name's Amanda Caputo.
How do you spell it?
Caputo.
Thank you.
I live down the block. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
They were giving us the finger before.
He said, I never thought at 94 years old I would be evicted.